right? We saw the way students today search, get matched and apply to universities was fundamentally flawed. It was riddled with biases. It was completely analog. There was nothing digital. So our super strength was always technology. We understand how to build products online. So our first step was to just build an online platform. And on our platform, students can today come and search more than 500 universities across 35 countries and apply to universities seamlessly online. So the first thing was obviously to get the platform in. And then the second step was that before you even get students, you need to get universities. And we go to universities saying, we want you on our platform. So our students can apply from Africa to your university. And the first question they will ask you is, how many universities do you work with? They wanted references. We were like with zero. So I think there's always a zero start problem, which is the most difficult, where you need to really convince them and show them the vision of what you're trying to build. And then we started signing up universities. We started promoting the platform in Kenya, and now we are getting into high schools. We are in more than 150 high schools. Some of the best high schools in this country today use our platform, where students use our platform to do the psychometric assessment and then apply to universities across the world.
Interesting. And what's the business model? Do the students pay? Do the universities pay?
Yeah, we charge a small fee from the student for all the assistance that we offer them. But our primary model is that universities pay us a commission.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. And before even Cradle, you'd also set up a startup in India that you managed to exit. Maybe you can just take us through that particular journey of setting up a startup to the point of now exit, because that's every particular entrepreneur's dream. You've been able to do that. How are you able to do that?
Yes, luck by chance is what you call it in India. But, I was in advertising, and then a couple of my friends, they had sold their company to Microsoft in the US, and they had just moved from US to India.
Which
and
company
they were
was that?
starting, it was called Vriti, V-R-I-T-I, Vriti. And they were starting a tech startup. And, I was always looking for this opportunity to get into a tech startup ecosystem, and I didn't have, coding background myself, so I was just pretty handicapped. So when that opportunity came along, I jumped into it. I quit my job, and then I joined the startup, and then joined as a business guy at a junior mid-level, and then eventually became the CEO of the organization, and then eventually built my own startup within the startup, and then I grew that business to be a very large business in India. We had 25 offices across 25 cities in India. We did really well. And then I exited that startup. I mean, I had worked for 7 years, and working in a startup in India can be very, very taxing. It takes away everything from you. So then I eventually kind of sold my startup to a financial investor and exited successfully. Used that money to buy my family a home, which is my dream. And then I took a sabbatical. My wife had just conceived. And so I told myself that, I've worked really, really hard and not given enough time to my family. So I decided to take a sabbatical from work. I just sold a startup. I was feeling okay. So I took a sabbatical, and I was supporting my wife as she was going through her pregnancy. And then a couple of years later, I got a chat on Facebook where I was invited by my ex-boss from India, who was now in Squad Digital. He was the head of Squad Digital in Africa. And he said, what are you doing on WhatsApp? I'm sorry, there was no WhatsApp that time. It was Facebook Messenger. It's like, nothing much. He said, do you want to come to Kenya? I said, sure. 2 minutes later, he sent me an offer letter. 2 minutes later, I signed the offer letter, sent it to him. And 7 days later, I'm in Kenya.
That's
it was just like that,
Yeah, but before we even get into Squad Digital, your life in Squad Digital, from your experience of having set up the startup and actually sold it, what are some of the lessons that you learned through that particular experience? And what are some of the lessons you'll actually share to someone aspiring? Because it's everybody entrepreneur's dream actually watching this. Setting up a business, growing it, exiting.
Yeah, so I think I start with this something which is very kind of contextual to kind of Kenya. Another interview, and I was saying that, do you think that Jeff Bezos has a side hustle, or Mark Zuckerberg had a side hustle, or Bill Gates had a side hustle? They went all into one business, and that's where they put everything behind it. So I think one of the first lessons that that I always advise people is that when you're getting into something, no matter if it's a startup or even your job, you need to just go all into one thing and become the very best in that one thing. Rather than try to do 5 things at the same time, because then you just basically stay mediocre at 5 things, right? The second thing is that, and this I tell to my own kind of like founders, and I told them when I was starting this company, saying that there will be a time very soon in our future where we will be cursing ourselves, saying, why the hell did we leave our jobs to start this company? And we put all our money behind it, to put everything behind it, and we lost so much. And then we'll be regretting the decision to start it, because startup can be a really, really hard journey. I mean, 75% of startups every single year fail. And I think and I told them that we need to remind ourselves as to why we are doing what we are doing. I think so. So the second lesson for me was the purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because there is going to be a very high probability of failure when you're starting. You already start with the mindset that there's going to be a high probability of failure, and they're going to be really, really tough and challenging times. So what keeps you going to that time is a purpose. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? And is that purpose strong enough or worth it for you to give up everything in a single pursuit of that purpose? So, I always ask entrepreneurs, like, why are you doing this? If it is just to make money, then there's a very high chance that you might fail, because there are 100 ways you can make money, right? What makes you stick through and persevere through all the difficult times is the sense of purpose that you have. So for us, it was transforming the way students access higher education in Africa. And I think the purpose for us is so strong because we spoke to thousands of students in schools, and I think we become so attached to our students that purpose kind of keeps us going when we have difficult times. So what is your purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing becomes very important. And the last thing I think I always talk about is discipline. I think discipline is how I describe it as that it's this art of doing things that you hate doing every single day. So there is a certain level of discipline of work required, for you to actually succeed at doing certain things. Because for people who focus on, am I feeling motivated today? Am I feeling excited today? Because 80% of what you do in a startup is not exciting. The initial stages are very exciting because you're thinking of an idea, you're building an idea, you're building things. But then rest of the entire life of a startup is just execution.
True.
It's just boring, mundane, every single day execution. And then discipline becomes very important. Like just showing up every single day, no matter what you're going through, what your personal life is going through, just showing up at work and just doing the boring stuff every single day.
Interesting. And there's something that you were talking about when you're on the break around motivation. You don't believe in motivation, which is actually true. Motivation doesn't work, but maybe you can expound to us in terms of your perspective.
If I may, tell this story, right? I mean, as you can see, I have a big size. I've been very motivated to get myself in a great body shape. Like, I love the idea of Manish in the best body shape of his life. I want to be muscular, I want to be lean. I'm very motivated. But yet, and in that last 20 years, I said, I am the same weight today that I'm in the last 20 years. Okay? In those 20 years, I have done hundreds of different types of diets. I've climbed mountains. I've done Mount Kenya. I've done multiple times long or not. I've done.
Oh, you've done Mount Kenya?
Yeah. And I've done multiple half marathons. I've done every Standard Chartered. I've done Lever Marathon. I run a lot. I've gone to the gym. I've cancelled gym memberships. I'm wondering to myself, like, I'm so motivated. I'm so motivated to lose weight, and I'm doing so much to lose weight, but I'm still the same weight. And I'm like, why am I the same? Like, why have I not changed? Everyone is motivated to make a lot of money, yet not many people do. Everyone is motivated to be happy, not yet many people are. Everyone is motivated to lose weight, but yet we are not. And the answer was that the problem is that we only focus on motivation. The problem with motivation comes and goes. Today you get up in the morning, you're motivated. Tomorrow you're not motivated. What do you do then? So motivation is ephemeral. Never count on motivation. So what you need is, I was like, why have I not lost? So here's the answer. I have not lost because I don't have a purpose. I don't have a why I want to lose weight. Like, I have a happy life, I'm comfortable, I'm married, I have kids. People like me, I have a certain level of respect I command. I help people, I'm transforming the world and I'm really excited about it. I don't have a why I want to lose weight, number one. Number two is courage. Do I have the courage to succeed? I don't have the courage. I love food. I love food. I love what I eat. I cannot imagine a life without the kind of food I eat every day.
You surrender to
food
every day. I
can't eat salads every day. No, I cannot. I can't go in saltless, sugarless diet. I love my cup of milk tea with tea in the morning. I can't. So I don't have the courage to give up things that, you see, in a startup journey, you have to have the courage to give up. Like, I have so many opportunities to travel, to go out with my friends. And I want to spend time with my family. I have to have the courage to disappoint a lot of people in my life where I don't get to spend time with them. I have the courage to give up so many things in my life. So I don't have the courage to give up food. And the third thing, I don't have a discipline. So I will go 10 days, 15 days on a streak, and I'm running and I'm working out and I'm lifting weights And then next 10 days I'm doing nothing.
In the burger.
And then I'm a burger. Then like 30 days, nothing. Then I wake up one day, it's like, oh my God, I feel so sloppy. Let me hit the gym again. Then I go gym, then I cancel my membership. So discipline is the art of doing things that you hate doing every single day.
Sure.
It is not fun. Trust me, to get at 4:35 in the morning when you had a really tough, long day at work, okay? And then get up every day in the morning and go to the street and go to a run and go to a run every single day without failing. It's not fun till the time it is, of course. So there are three things that, which are life lessons for me, which is from the story of, losing weight, but something I've applied to my life and to my business is motivation doesn't work. What you need is purpose, what you need is courage, and what you need is discipline.
That's very interesting. And let me just change the conversation. You also had the opportunity to work with Squad Digital, and I remember it's one of the biggest, what's it called, digital agencies. From your experience working at Squad, what exactly did you learn around advertising, especially in the digital world?
Yeah, so I think one of the things which was very, very critical for us to understand, for me to understand coming from India, is that, Africa is a mobile first generation. Africa kind of skipped the PC generation and straight away moved to mobile. India, we went through desktop and then eventually migrated to mobile. So everything has to be mobile first. That was one of the biggest lessons. I was fortunate enough to work with some of the largest clients. I was handling advertising for Safaricom, for KCB, Equity Bank, and all of that, and then EAPL at some point, and Coke. So I think one of the lessons I had from advertising is advertising actually makes you very creative as a thinker. And I think one of the things that kind of worked out well for me is that I have such a wide, diverse array of experiences in my life that, as an entrepreneur, it really helps when you have a variety of. So I have operations experience, I have business development sales experience, I have creative advertising experience. All of these kind of skill sets come together. I really, really enjoyed my time in advertising, and we've done some of the best campaigns in this country. But I think at some point I realized that what am I doing with my life? Making very rich corporates even richer by selling more SIM cards, more data bundles, more bank accounts. And that's not what I wanted to do with my life, so I decided to quit. But I think the experience was very enriching because I got to travel across Africa. I understood different cultures. I understood different Nigerian culture and the Ghanaian culture. Spent a lot of time in South Africa, Southern African markets. And I think the diversity of experiences I got, the networks that I built, so I think it's all kind of really, really been helpful.
Interesting. And I think also just to go back, remember before you went on the break, you're taking us through in terms of how you just resigned. And I'm sure primarily now you have the opportunity now to relook back that particular decision. When you relook that particular decision of just having to resign because you had this idea on paper, would you think, was it a good idea for you? And if you'll redo it again, what exactly were some of the things that you'd advise to anybody looking to transition probably from the employment phase into the entrepreneurship phase?
In Indian mythology, we have this thing that we are taught and we are brought up with from our priests. And they say that it takes a human being 84.4 billion rebirths for you to become a human being. Okay. So in that time you are born.
What does it mean?
So have this idea of rebirth, right? You're reborn. Every time you die, you're reborn. So you're reborn as an ant, as a mosquito, as a rat, as a dog.
It's true.
But for you to get a human body, it takes you 8.4 billion rebirths for you to get a human body.
8.4 billion
rebirths for you to get a human body, right?
All right.
And I think, okay, this is the only human life I can think of in the near foreseeable future. I think my thing has always been about, I was never comfortable with the idea of mortality. That one day I'm going to die and everything's going to be over. But there was a very interesting idea of immortality is that one has an opportunity of immortalizing themselves by building something that can last a test of time, that can be used and transform lives even after you've gone. So for me, the idea of immortality was that, can I do something and build something that can endure the test of time, that can continue to transform lives even after you've gone? And I think I always question this to myself, every day millions of people are born, every day a million of people die. They just come and they go.
True. They come back as mosquitoes. And we smash them and they hit 8.4 billion times.
So my question to myself was what is my purpose in life? God has given me this birth. What am I here doing? Am I just here to make money, and provide for my family and buy a nice car? There had to be something more meaningful to our life. So I really, really deeply think about the meaning of life and our purpose in this world. And I think when I looked at the higher education ecosystem, and I think the way the system was flawed and it was rigged against students, and I think private study abroad agents trying to make money off students, and everyone's trying to kind of misguide students. It's like this is bad, and I'm a father myself, and I think to think about that my kids will go through the same journey one day as well. So I am very driven by kind of transforming, the life in a certain way. You can't transform everything, but you pick a field and you find a way to transform that ecosystem once and for all. And I think that's a life worth living. And I think we talk about it in all the hard times that we go through at Cradle. That think about what we are here doing, and every single day when we meet students and we talk to students,
which is one of the biggest elements one needs to have in terms of making this particular jump going to their purpose. How are you able to get courage to do this? Or maybe what's your advice with regards to courage?
Very interesting. That's another 5 steps. At some point I reached the middle ground between